All right, a little bit of a story time about how I just got picked up in a Lamborghini Huracan by my good friend Daniel Kong. He's also a member of the Multifamily Mindset. And did I mention that he only spent $10,000 for that Lamborghini? Watch this video and I'll show you how he did that and also the power of networking. Let's go. What is up, y'all? Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. We are flying over to the neighboring island of Oahu to meet with one of my mentorship students. His name is Daniel Kong, and I'm going to show you a simple step-by-step framework that he used to inspire me to take a day to fly over to meet with him on his podcast, something that you can implement in your business to be able to impact and network with those you want to be impacted and network with. Let's go. Tyler Devereaux here, and as a reminder, I've been investing in real estate for nearly a decade, multifamily real estate specifically, and have thousands of units and have trained thousands of students, maybe even people just like you, how to buy, own, operate, invest in these big deals. And today is no different, man. I'm going to show you how I've been able to do those things and how you can do the exact same things. Do you want to buy, own, operate multifamily real estate, but you're just not quite sure if you can? Well, I'll tell you that whether you think you can or you can't, you're correct. But today, I'm going to show you 3 strategies, 3 skills, 3 things that you can do to make sure that when you walk into a room, you give yourself the best opportunity to actually be in a position to buy, own, operate, control these big apartment buildings. What is networking? Dude, it's freaking talking to people about what you do and helping people do what they do, connecting. I'm going to give you some strategies and ways to network. But man, don't ever think that you can network anywhere, and you should be networking everywhere. But most people, I believe most people just don't have a purpose in their life as to why they would network. Your purpose can be your profession. Your purpose can also be people, wanting to help other people. So don't overthink the process. You network every day in a roundabout way without even realizing that you're networking. And that's how you know you're doing it correctly. Okay, now how do people network? I'm gonna give you the 3 B's, okay? The 3 B's of networking. And I learned these 3 B's from a good friend of mine. His name's Josh Fines. See, when I was 19 years old, I went on a church mission. So a mission for my church for 2 years. And it's a terrifying thing, man. You're leaving home. I'm going to a foreign country. I went up to Canada. It was a very foreign country. Very foreign people. It's just a new situation. I knew nobody. The first person that I got connected with was a guy named Josh Fine. So Josh, if you're watching this, you probably have no idea how much I learned from you during that time. And one of those things was the first B. And that first B is to be a connector. See, Josh is the ultimate connector of people, and I'll tell you how he did it. He loved people, first off. And so what he wanted to do is he wanted to introduce me to all these different people to make sure that I had that connection, because he knew that that would deepen his connection. But what I learned from him is as we were going around and we were going to these people's houses and he was introducing me to these different people, every single person was the most important person. And what I mean by that is literally as we're going there, we're walking there, we're driving there, wherever it was, he'd be like, now listen, this one here that we're about to meet, they're super important. They do so much. They have had such an impact. You want to make sure that you get in good with them, because if you get in good with them, man, it'll make your life easier. They know a lot of people. He would just make sure that I understood the gravity of the situation, meaning that every person was important, because he truly believed that every person was important. And that is the key to being a good connector. See, when you believe that every person has value to give, man, you believe in them. You believe in people. And he loved people. And so he wanted to make sure that I understood their value so that once again, man, I could connect with them. So be a connector. It's one of the most important things that we can do, is being a connector. Now, number 2 is to be conscious. See, I have this unique opportunity that I do these events, right? But I had a unique opportunity for Strat. Strat is my videographer. He's the one that is videoing right now. He's the one that puts all this stuff together. Pretty much any content that you see of mine, Strat is behind it. And Strat would come to these events and he would start to record me. Well, when you know you have a camera on you, you become very conscious of how you're talking, what you're saying, how you're being perceived. And listen, that is so powerful, because what that helped me do is become a lot more present, a lot more conscious. Instead of just going through and drifting, I was very conscious because I knew that I was on camera. One of my hacks to you was pretend like you're on camera. Pretend like, not just when you're talking to somebody, like at all moments, man, because people, every interaction matters, man, and people will naturally be pulled to you or repel from you based on the energy you're putting out. So every interaction matters, especially the nonverbal one. How are you coming off with your nonverbal? Nonverbal communication is one of the most important aspects of communication. So when you're, let's say that you're at an event and you're learning, how is your facial structure? How is your body language? If you are arms folded, this is literally a nonverbal sign that I am not interested in what you have to say. You're literally blocking whatever the person has to say. But I like to sit with my arms folded. So I have to be very conscious of unfolding my arms, leaning forward. When I'm talking to somebody, it's the same thing, man. So be conscious of how you're being perceived. Be conscious of the energy that you're bringing into the room and into the conversations that you're having. Which brings me to number 3, which is to be present. I told you that every interaction matters, so be present. One of the things that I will tell you that I'm very good at is I'm very present. And that is a strength, and it can be a weakness sometimes too, because if I am with you, you know that I am with you. Like I am talking to you, that's it. There's other people around, and I am very conscious of that too. I'm speaking to this person, not understanding and recognizing that everyone around is also listening. But I'm speaking to that person. I'm not, as this person is talking to me, I'm not like, hey, hold on 1 second, or hey, how you doing? No, that makes that person you're talking to feel disconnected. I am right here, which means that next person that I'm about to talk to knows that when I talk to them, I will be right there. Be conscious, be present, be a connector. Those things will absolutely set you apart. And Daniel Kong, who you're seeing in this, that did this podcast with him, he is a connector. He is conscious and he is very present when you were with him, and you will see that as you get to know him. A lot of you already do know him. Okay, let me give you an example of this, because people ask me like, well, how do you network and where do you network? Well, listen, I flew from Maui to Oahu to do a podcast with Dan, but I don't just fly anywhere to go do podcasts with people. But why would I do it with him? It was because of the things that I just mentioned. Daniel was very present, engaging on social media, very present in commenting, connecting. That's networking. But our relationship really deepened through social media. By connecting on social media, you can literally connect anywhere. I flew to Oahu to do a podcast with Daniel. Why? This is one of the best ways that you can network as well. Think about this. Daniel is networking with me because he has a podcast for me to come be on. People will ask me, should I start a podcast? Who should start a podcast? When should I start a podcast? I believe everyone should start a podcast. I just started a podcast, my own podcast, Own the Outcome podcast. And why did I do that? Because I wanted to network with high-level individuals. I wanted to be able to bring them in, chat with them, hear their stories, learn from their stories, and share their stories. And it's a valuable platform to be able to do so. Same thing that Daniel provided for me. I love to be able to tell my story. I'm grateful any time, any opportunity that I get to tell my story. And he provides that opportunity for me to do that. So man, you can network by creating the platform, or you can go to a platform, be on podcasts, right? Tell your own story. I'm sure you have a story to tell. I also talked about how social media allows you to connect with and network. Well, think about this when you're doing a podcast. Go look at my clips on social media. Most of my clips are from podcasts that I've been on or that I have done. Why? Because it is a way to gain a lot of content, man. I am interviewing or being interviewed for 30 minutes to an hour. You take that entire 30 minutes to an hour, you cut it down into little clips, and then you blast those out. You maximize your time. You're connecting with people, and then you're getting content, creating content that you can now go utilize to connect with other people. So it hits you multiple fronts, man. These views that I get on these clips and these YouTube videos, I'm networking and connecting with you right now. Don't you feel connected? I could be sleeping right now. I could be traveling right now. I could be with my friends, my family right now as you're watching this. But regardless, I'm connecting with you because I took the time to record a video for you. You're no different. Go and record those videos, do those podcasts, share those clips, and connect to all hours of the day and night, not just the ones that you're, once again, face to face. All right, so now I told you that I got picked up in Daniel's Lamborghini Huracan and that he only paid $10,000 for that. Now here's what happens. I land at the airport there in Oahu. Daniel pulls up in this bitchin' car and I get in. And I'm not much of a car guy, but I will tell you that when you get into a Lambo, somebody picks you up in a Lambo, you just feel, well, you feel bitchin'. You feel good, okay? And I ask him about his Lambo. I start talking to him about his Lambo. When did you get it? How did you get it? When did you decide to get it? Was it a goal of yours, right? And he tells me, well, I mean, when I tell you this, don't judge me. Don't think less of me. And then he tells me that he got it for $10,000. I'm like, well, okay. I'm definitely not thinking less of you for that. That's amazing. How? Why? He didn't get it because he wants to drive a Lamborghini and loves to drive the Lamborghini. He was actually talking about how it's actually very uncomfortable. It's not a logical car to have. but the doors that it opens, very logical as to why he has it. See, what he decided to do is he did research. He knew that that car could connect him with other people, but he wanted to figure out a way that he could leverage the Lamborghini without having to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for the Lamborghini. And what he researched is that Lamborghinis have a shelf life. So you have a shelf life on a Lamborghini. You buy it and it drops in value, just like any brand new car drops in value, but then it holds after that. And so he was looking at the models, the versions, how, like, when did it hold, how many years, and then he was able to find that if I think it was a couple years old, that it would hold its value pretty good after that. And so that's what he did. But what he did is he leveraged it, got a loan on it, and went in on it with a buddy of his. And then they rented out. So they each put in $10,000, $20,000 total, $10,000 each, and they rented out. They realized that by renting out the Lambo, that would more than cover their payment for the Lamborghini, and then they could use it when they needed to and wanted to for the times and opportunities that they needed to and wanted to, which is for networking. See, what he does is there is an exotic car club there in Oahu. Then in order for you to get into that club, well, you need an exotic car, and a Lamborghini fits the mold. So that's what he does. It's an income producing asset for him that also gets him into this exotic car club. And what does Daniel do? Well, Daniel does multifamily real estate. His podcast is called Building Wealth Through Real Estate. Listen, if you're in an exotic car club, the chances of you being an accredited investor are pretty good. So just by having the car, he gets in the club and gets to rub shoulders with individuals who are perfect investors for his deals, people who need to put their money to work. He's not the only person who's done things like this, by the way. Another good friend of mine, Rich Summers. Rich Summers, if you don't know Rich, man, make sure to follow Rich. Rich has a great podcast that I've been on his podcast as well. In fact, that's how Rich and I connected. He had a podcast, Multifamily Takeoff podcast, that I was on way back in the day. And then now Rich has a different podcast called the Rich Summers Podcast, the Rich Summers Report, that I was on just recently as well. That's how Rich and I built a friendship. We networked through his podcast. Well, Rich has an amazing Audi R8. Why did Rich buy the Audi R8? Yeah, it's a beautiful car. Yes, he loves driving it. Yes, he gets recognition, but guess what? He's also part of an exotic car club out there in San Diego so that he can network with, once again, investors, maybe like you, maybe like me, definitely, who need to put their money to work. So man, it's getting creative. It's sometimes we think within this box that we have, and that's where we're able to network. This is what we're able to do. But if you just allow yourself to expand that box, to break free of that box and just think creatively, a big portion of that is, it's not I can't, it's how can I. See, a lot of people will say, I can't own an Audi R8, it's too expensive. I can't own a Lamborghini Huracan, it's too expensive. But the successful will say, how can I? How could I? What would need to be true for me to own that? How would I use that? How can I leverage that? See, if you really want something, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. And I know you know that's right in your life. It's certainly right in my life. So if you really want something, quit telling yourself bullshit stories as to why you can't have it. And instead, create a new story of how you're going to absolutely get it. All right, there we go. That is today's video. Now, I hope you gained some value. Go and follow and subscribe and rate and review the Building Wealth podcast with Daniel Kong. Daniel, thank you so much, man. And if you found value from this video, which I know you did, go share, subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube, and then also, man, follow me on social media, and then tune in for the next one. It's going to be even better, okay? And always, 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 damn it, always live with aloha. Peace.